What if I told you you have committed the worst crime you could have possibly committed? And for that, you will do life. Because the logic around the truth of life says this: betrayal is always the best option for ourselves. Let me offer you a story around what's titled The Prisoner's Dilemma. Imagine, if you would, two people who have committed the same crime, Paul and Pete. They're up to no good, and they've been caught and brought back to the house for questioning. Strategically, Paul and Pete are placed in separate rooms and are about to be given the very same message with the very same options that include the same opportunities. Paul and Pete have been told, we know you have committed a crime, and we can't really get you for the most egregious and highest offense of the crime, but we can get you for some of the crime, which means you will do some time. However, Paul, if you decide to confess that Pete has committed these crimes, then you will do no time. Pete, of course, will go away for a while. Pete is also offered the same opportunity. We can't quite get you for all of it. We can get you for some of it, but there is a way to avoid all of it. Simply confess that it was Paul who committed the crime, and you too will do no time. There is a catch, which I will get to at the end, but I go back to the truth about life and the logic which says betrayal is always the best option for ourselves. Now, given that as a backdrop and for context, and for you to allow to process and analyze, I'm going to argue that you are already betraying yourself in your life, but at the expense of yourself for the face of others. Let's just get down to the nitty-gritty with this. We become stagnant and we lack growth in our lives across all the spectrums available to us. Relationally, spiritually, which is really mind and body, professionally, and ultimately as the most authentic you. And the reason we do that is we betray ourselves for the sake of what it looks like surfacely in every one of those phases. Think about the ramifications. Let me put it to you real simple. You are betraying you when you tell someone else what you think they want to hear, not what you think and believe you should be saying. You betray yourself when you do something someone else thinks you should do, not what you think you should do for yourself. You are betraying yourself when your health, physically, mentally, and spiritually is not always your number one priority because of what someone else might be thinking of what you're thinking. We don't prioritize the love for ourselves above everything else because of what it might possibly look like, or in this regard, because of the pain that is associated with this level of growth. And if you just simply apply that math and logic across every area, there is something that is contributing to you stopping, postponing, and not moving forward in the direction you know you should, ultimately forcing yourself to betray yourself at the expense of yourself for something that has nothing to really do with you, something that is truly outside of your control, outside of your scope, and outside of your purview. Because whatever it is you believe is being inflicted upon you or causing you conflict or preventing you is usually not you. It is something else outside of you that is creating limitations for you in your life. And again, it permeates and it comes back to the basic fundamental of the fear of what it might look like, or the fear of the level of effort required in what amounts to a very comfortable, conformed, and standard way of living. So what can I offer you as far as why I think this is important? First and foremost, the conflict you're really creating when you betray yourself in this way is the lifetime imprisonment of your mind, which is ultimately yourself and your spirit, the love that you could possibly create in mind and body. That level of prioritization is fractured, is conflicted, and that'll just go until you go. What I offer is the opportunity to force ourselves to always choose ourselves. And I wrap it up in somewhat of a mantra that I relate to you in this way. I sincerely apologize for anything I might say or do that might offend you, but I am not sorry if you are offended by anything I say or do. Massive difference. I am not out to, for the sake of just being unique or different, or for the sake of trying to break out of perceived norms in societal structure, trying to do me. I am genuinely seeking my authenticity, and whatever I do in my seek of genuine authenticness is for the sake of full self-love, which I believe at its root is joyful, accepting, loving, blessed, and grateful. If I am leading with those principles, I am not concerned optically with what I might say because I know where my baseline fundamentals are. So if you interpret it in a way that you are offended by, I'm sorry you're offended, but I'm not gonna cease and create conflict for myself by not saying what I feel is me. When I choose to do something for myself, mentally, physically, whether through empowering myself with prayer, meditation, long walks, journaling, physically working out, all of those things, I will not betray myself because of the pain that it causes me. I'm compromised either way. And that's ultimately what this amounts to. What you are resisting for the sake of conflict, for the sake of disruption, is disrupting and already conflicting you, in that you are choosing to betray yourself. And the longer you betray yourself, the deeper the hole, the more difficult to climb, the longer the sentence feels, and you run the risk of just ruminating through that space and never actually finding a change. And what I believe is the ultimate sacrifice, at some point, life is left to choose, just like Paul and Pete. And someone's going to have to make a confession. And that confession is going to have massive implications to wherever you already are in your life. So choose yourself, betray yourself for the sake of yourself. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich. For if you find yourself conflicted, if you find yourself in a position where you aren't consistently winning on your terms, then the only logic could be that you are betraying who you could be in order to ensure you cooperate, you align, and you are by design following all of society's norms and standards. And if you would put that into context and perspective for every aspect and component of your life, that you could possibly betray yourself and your feelings relationally in order to ensure that you are protecting and prioritizing the feelings of others relationally. That professionally, you could be compromising and conflicted with who you could possibly be and how you could possibly benefit in order to ensure you are at minimum a professional and are reaping the benefits of the standard 9 to 5. That you could also be compromising yourself or betraying yourself spiritually